Hello, abnormal family. How's everybody doing? We got a another show for you tonight where we're going to be discussing another case. It is a an older case that I first looked at. It's been a while since I have revisited this case. I believe it's going to be a an interesting case. It is a tough case. I was actually talking to a person a while ago that I have a lot of respect for in his how he investigates things and the logic that he uses behind a lot of these cases. A lot of y'all are probably familiar with Justin Decker. We conversed today, and a lot of these cases are deep, and this one been one in particular that has a lot of depth to it, and it is a very tough case to look at from the outside, not having being able to be there, in person and sift through the tangible evidence. We do the best we can with the reports that we're able to access from first responders, police officers, autopsy reports, and then we try to decipher those as accurately as we can to try to give you all at least a fair picture to where you guys are able to make or conclude your own decisions. I think that is a very important step. Is we don't want to take something that is unverifiable and push an opinion off on you. Now, if I see something that I believe that, yeah, that's a werewolf, then we're going to call it for what it is. But I think it I think it's going to be an interesting night. I'm going to go ahead and throw Randy and Jesse in here real quick. We got a Sewer Pipe Casso in here. Good to see you. I think you're a look like a new member. Hello.
Hello, hello. Good to see y'all.
How you doing, Randy?
I'm here. I'm doing
You know
better.
that's important. That's one of the most important things is you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Shirley. Hello, Lisa Ann. I seen Ellen in here. Do a little bit of a roll call before we kick off tonight. I was just kind of. We got B Man in here tonight. Good to see you, B Man. 4621. I was just telling everybody about kind of looking at these cases that we look at them from outside of the investigation. We don't have actual tangible or hands-on evidence or things that we're able to sift through like we would if we were actually at the crime scene. So a lot of what we present is what we have access to based on, speaking for myself, based on cases I've seen and worked on. I use that information in determining what I suspect or get to give my best theory or opinion on what I believe is going on. That's really the best anybody can do unless you're actually at the scene and then have access to sealed paperwork, because as you know, a lot of these cases that we do cover where there is a unfortunately somebody loses their life, there's a death. That person being a minor, it complicates the case due to legalities and sealing a lot of the information due to dealing just with a minor in that nature. Uh, but I think that we can at least get enough information, I believe, that we can come up with, at the very minimal, a hypothesis to what happened at the situation. Um, can we push that narrative 100%? No, not unless you're there. And in my book, very rarely, very, 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 very rarely, and I don't know if I have ever even used the term 100% in any report that I have ever written. I just don't think 100% is ever warranted unless you can absolutely place your hand on it, seen it happen. I mean, there are so many factors to 100%. Uh, I think that we can give a good scenario, a good look into the case to what we suspect happened. Um, which in these cases, it kind of goes against everything that I was taught, because I was taught, not to speculate, because speculation in my line of work was not considered grounds or admissible. But in this case, you don't really have a choice, because we're investigating things that the people above us say don't exist. So based on that, we can only use whatever basis you use. If it's Christianity, if it's scientific evidence, whatever you're basing your investigations off of, we still cannot go back and have 100% base like we do when you're investigating a crime scene. You usually will have 100% base. I mean, yeah, we have a fatality. There was a murderer. What was the motive? Did he have the ability to do it? Why did he do it? Why did he carry through with it? To where these, we don't understand their nature, their psychology, so we're not able to follow a timeline, or, if you will, a pattern. So we don't have patterns. We don't have psychologists out there saying, this is how the criminal mind in a cryptid works, because we don't know. And we don't know, how they operate, or what causes them to attack, not attack, why they don't come into your home. There's just a whole lot of things that it's speculation. And I think that's the best that anybody can do whenever investigating these. I don't believe that it's just any one particular group, and if anyone is out saying that they have 100% proof, or they're an expert, I would leave that channel immediately, unless they're like sitting there holding up a Bigfoot head.
I wonder how long they can hold it up before something happens.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Won't be long.
And then he disappeared. Hello, LaVon. Good to see you. LaVon's an excellent guest. We're gonna have her back also. I was telling everybody that I spoke with Justin Decker today, and plan on having him come on the show. Probably will be in March. We got a lot going on in February. I would like to say that, Hunter, I love you and I miss you so very much. You're still my little best friend, my little buddy, and I'm sorry you're having to go through what you're going through, but those dark clouds are going to start seeing a silvery lining, I think, here pretty soon. There's going to be some changes, so just hang in there, buddy. That's all I'm going to say about that right now. Everybody's going to see that when it busts open. There won't be no keeping that a secret. Good things are coming. So we got B-Man in here. He looked like a good person. We have the sewer pipe guy in here. I think that was a new one. I don't think seen those two people. Sewer pipe cracked me up. Me and Mom was laughing about that whenever it popped up. And we got Carolyn here, Carolyn Rivera. We got Sharon Guy in here moderating. We're probably going to need all the moderators we can get. Maybe not, though, if we sit here and look like paint drying. So hopefully we don't bore anybody to death tonight.
You can tell Mike's bored. He needs to get back out in the field and do some boots on the ground.
I do. I need to get out there. My associates ran off on me, Randy. They ran for the hills, man. They left me out there alone. They said I'm bait.
Well, you use enough people for bait. It comes time for you to be the bait occasionally.
I'm guessing that's what's happening, because that don't leave a man behind. It don't seem to go in the cryptic world. It seems like it's the opposite. You leave everybody behind to save your own ass.
Yeah.
They're probably trying to outrun those things. If they want to catch you, you're not going to outrun them. I'm sorry. I don't care how you are. They're faster. Okay, trust me. You're not going to outrun them. You'll just die tired.
I'm thinking about making a shirt. I'm not sure what we would use for the emblem on it or whatever, but I'm thinking about making a shirt that says, "You're always on the menu."
Oklahoma Scooby Snack.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That night with a video camera and a flashlight looking for monsters, you're just an Oklahoma Scooby Snack waiting to get ate.
Could I please get a human under glass, please?
Now, I wonder, the federal government regulates hunting season. I wonder if they regulate how many humans that these creatures can take each year. Can they only take so many of us, and that's all they're allowed to get? Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
I believe that that is a thing that's going around, that a lot of people do believe that they have a deal with the higher ups that they can have, or maybe do experiments on a certain number of people a year, that's kind of in the agreement for for technology or something like that. I'd be afraid to go real deep down on that on a live stream, but I think there's the Patreon coming up. We have a Patreon video, guys. Me, Randy, Jesse. I don't know that anybody else will be joining us, possibly. But we're going to be doing a Patreon only video coming out. So if you're not on Patreon, you won't be able to see it. But there's a reason we have to do that, because if I release this video we're going to be doing, I'll get 3 strikes, no doubt, right off the top.
Mhm.
There is no way they're going to let us air what we're going to air, because we're going to dive deep. And, I just, there's a lot of things that they're not going to let us do. I hope that Jesse knows a lot about this case tonight, because I plan on throwing her under the bus. So
I just told you I was playing stupid tonight. I was gonna look at this like I know nothing about the case, so I can ask questions.
I know, I thought I just read, so that's why I said I'm going to throw you under the bus.
Yeah, jerk.
I'm good at throwing people under the bus.
That's okay. Paybacks, remember. Best served cold, Jess. Remember that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Trust me, he's got a tally. I have a long tally list here.
You know what I say, Jesse? I say get in line. I've got so many in line. I'm just going to be signing autographs and giving shirts away. You might be next on the menu. Randy, a gentleman said thank you for your service to our country. So thank you for your service, Randy.
Thank you, Mike.
One of the few, the proud, the Marines. It's good to know that you wasn't out filling sandbags while you were at work.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
Just remember paybacks, Mike. Best served cold, buddy.
Randy can say that to me. You can't.
Oh, that's interesting. Sewer Pipe Castle said Massachusetts passed a law that we have to call dog man dog person. That's interesting. If they're putting a law to it, I'm going to actually make a note of that.
Is that for the gender specific?
Laws where we have to accept them into our society should they decide to come and say hi.
Right.
You know, makes you wonder, are they planning something here with stuff like that?
Well, that or the next thing you know, they're going to be able to use whatever bathroom they want to.
Yeah, well, it kind of, and then it kind of reminds me of as in the days of Noah, because there's a lot of history there to where people were seeing dog-headed men, and there's controversy. I'm not saying either way because I don't know, but Saint Christopher falls right in that. A lot of people say that he was part dog man, werewolf, whatever you want to call him, canine. So
Sewer Pipe says that was a joke.
Oh, Sewer Pipe, I even made a note of that. Okay, moderators ban him. No, not really. But could you imagine if we ran a show like that? Okay, you don't agree with this? Ban him.
Eventually, you'd run out of people to have on your show, right?
Yeah, eventually we'll be sitting here talking to ourselves watching paint dry. So, how many people in the chat are familiar with the case of Corey Godsey? CB, man, you didn't even tip me off. It was a joke. Ban him. No, not really. You know, that's what Emmy's saying too, is calling bipedal canines. I don't like the name Dogman. Man, I have so much trouble with that. That's like, I don't know. It just don't roll off the tongue right to me.
No,
The
I
creatures
agree.
I've seen didn't look like no part human and part dog. They look like something completely different. They didn't look at human at all. The things that I've seen.
I think there's different, different ones. What is that one thing? I think Randy may
Gungway?
possibly. No, I think Randy has the dire wolf. I think Randy could be dealing with two different things, but I'm not going to talk a lot about what's going on at his place because they get a little rattled and they seem to want to.
They don't want being in the spotlight. They really don't.
They don't like to be talked about. They kind of, when we talk about them, they give Randy a little bit of hell. So we'll have to pick one night whenever Randy's ready, and we'll just go through everything, and that way he can get it all out, and we'll see if he gets attacked. Maybe we can send him a GoPro. We could do like a live cam.
I'm just going to send him to your place, Mike.
Yeah, come on down. Might get a drive-by on you or somebody throwing some ducks at you on their way to a fire. But, I mean, other than that, you never know what's going on. You know, there's an old song. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, Randy.
This is true, Mike. Just like I'm glad you learned your lesson about don't poke the bear when you're out there in their territory. The bear might poke back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and definitely don't threaten to switch it.
It might just switch you instead, and you're not going to like the reception of that.
Right in the face.
Good thing those hooks didn't get in your face or your eyeball. That would have really sucked. I mean, that would have been horrible.
That would have been like some wrong turn stuff. My eyes would have been hanging there. I wonder, I would have been looking at myself. Wouldn't that have been weird?
I wouldn't try that again, though.
Yeah.
If you want some action, you know what to do. Just I might want to wear a helmet or something, protect your head.
I don't know if I want to wear any more stuff and the game warden pull up on me. That was bad enough the last time.
Did he ask you what the hell are you doing with something like that?
I'm a falling star. Well, I can tell you one thing I'm not doing, sir. I'm not trying to hide. Everybody sees me.
That's true.
I'm definitely not guilty of eluding. Did you spotlight the subject? Negative, sir. We didn't need to. He lit himself up.
Yeah, he was like a Christmas tree walking around out there. Can't you see him from 2 or 3 miles away? What the hell is he trying to do? He's trying to catch something, but we just don't know what.
You have the game warden calling into the sheriff's office. We need to get a hold of civil services because I believe it looks like the sun is rising over in the north. Oh, wait, never mind. That's Mike coming out of the tree line. Yeah. Not everybody runs around in the woods with lights duct taped to them, I'm sure.
If you want them to get closer, use dimmer lights. I will tell you that. The dimmer the lighting that you have, the closer these things will get to you.
Right. Actually, Ellen, he didn't even get out of his vehicle. Probably don't blame him. You're down there working by yourself on these scary back roads and everything, and you pull up with a guy with the lights taped all over him, walking in the pure pitch darkness with a infrared camera. And really all he said was he had his window down. He's like, hunting or fishing? I was like, neither. He goes, all right. And he just started backing out. I mean, he didn't check me or nothing.
Maybe he didn't want to know.
It's a good thing it's not illegal to spotlight yourself, or I'd have been in jail that night.
I guess hunting yourself is not illegal, right? Not yet, anyways. I guess if people start killing themselves while they're hunting, then they'll probably make a law against it, right?
Well, I didn't want the deer to be at a disadvantage. I wanted to make it equal. I wanted to make it fair. But I think it might get a little different or a little dangerous whenever you can't see your target because you got lights in your eyes and you're just firing at sound. Probably not a good combination. But yeah, the look on his face though, it was like, okay. I mean, he didn't even ask me like, "What are you doing out here with all them lights on you?" or nothing. He was just like, okay.
He didn't want to know.
No, he just started backing out. I mean, he's like, I'm out of here. And I thought, he's going to park down the road and see if I'm up to something, you know, or see if I'm poaching or, you know, out here trying to grow some crop or something. And man, whenever he hit the main road, I could hear him. He's like, he was gone.
Or maybe he knew what you were doing and didn't want any of them following him home.
Right.
I'd just be like, no, I'm down here trying to get some water for the mothership. We ran out of fuel and we landed over the tree line. Have you been probed lately? Yeah, you never know when it's going to take a twist around here. But yeah, just because you're the first at doing something doesn't mean that that's a good thing. I'm sure a lot of people don't walk around the woods with lights all over them and an infrared camera. Kind of defeats the purpose if you really think about it. I mean, why would you be walking around with lights all over you using an infrared camera trying to sneak up on something?
I don't know, Mike. What would somebody be doing out in the woods with a video camera and a flashlight at night? Looking for monsters?
Kind of sounds like a cryptid hunter to me.
Hey, Mike, here's one thing. If one of these, if one monster exists that's legendary, if just one of them, one legendary creature is true, wouldn't that mean everything else also existed?
I would think so. I think that proof of anything existing would definitely would put things more, at least more viable, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
But I did notice something, and you're right, Randy. Using the brighter lights that Pam bought me and Sarah, they have changed the boots on the ground, or did while we were going out. They have, because of the brightness of that light, it has pushed everything back further. I noticed that when I was using the dimmer light, I had closer encounters. You know, the switch in the face, Sarah's tea getting took off the hood of the vehicle, something drinking out of it, items left on the vehicle, even things looking in the side window of the vehicle. When we got the brighter lights, all of that pretty much ceased. We started hearing things further out, further away. It's kind of a catch. It's kind of a catch-22, really. Whenever you're out filming and you're doing a live, you're trying to show your audience what you're looking at, but at the same time, you're trying to get an encounter, right? So if your light ain't bright enough, you got everybody hollering at you saying, I can't see shit. All I see is darkness, you know. And you know, you're able to see because you're in the environment. So you can see. A lot of people say, well, that flashlight sucks. It does suck for the camera, but it doesn't really suck. I can see. But whenever I step it up to where the camera can see, then it's like I'm really lighting up the woods. You know, they're like, "Hey, man, is there a ball game tonight?" You know, because I mean, it looks like the ball field's lit up when you're down there. But the brighter the light, it seems like you push these creatures back, and then whenever you start pushing them back, as far as gathering evidence, because you all remember when we was going out for a while, we was getting eye shine close. They were close to us. We was getting the growls, the breathing, and then whenever we went to the bright light, all of that pretty much ceased. We started hearing things, but they were at a distance. It kind of changed too. It went from breathing and growling to more of howls, to more of wood knocks. You notice we lost even the owl sounds that we were getting right before we would have an encounter. Even the owl sounds stopped whenever we started using the brighter lights. So I think what we've done is we've pushed them back. We have pushed them further away from us. So what we may have to do, we may have to use a headlamp and then carry a bright light on us for whenever something does happen, to try to light it up fast and try to get something, rather than walking through the woods, to where, I mean, if you dropped a penny, you could just reach down and pick it up. I mean, it's not dark at all whenever you're lit up the way I'm lit up in a 360-degree radius.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not just one person. Sarah's carrying a really bright torch also. So you've got two people with these huge lights. I mean, and man, Randy, we could talk about this all night, because it even makes me think about a lot of people say, how come, coon hunters, they don't never see Bigfoot? They're out there all the time at night. Well, you got to think about it. What do coon hunters have with them? Guns, bright lights, and tracking dogs. What happens whenever a child is taken by one of these creatures? What do they see? Guns, bright lights, and tracking dogs. So I'm pretty sure they don't like that combination. That's they probably have PTSD to every coon hunter they see. It's probably not something that they enjoy seeing, because even though they're coon dogs, they're still going to follow or alert to anything that they see out of the ordinary, or something that spooks them, or I don't know. It's interesting. B-Man says he's scared.
If you want them really close, go out there with no lighting. They'll get within 2 to 4 feet of you.
Hey, Sarah. But yeah, I mean,
and that's when you need to be taking pictures when they're that close to you. Just hope they don't get mad at you.
Yeah.
And another thing too is people say, well, why don't you just use your IR camera while you're out there? We're getting ready to jump into Corey Godsey, guys. I just want to explain something real quick. The IR camera is great for looking in the dark. I love that camera. I love it for 2 reasons. I recommend them to anybody that hunts. One reason I like the IR camera is on the regular camera video function of that camera. It is so good at picking up low light that if there is anything out there that's lit up, you're going to see it. When you switch over to the IR, it has its advantages and its disadvantages. The advantages are you can see in the dark. It opens up a whole new world as far as looking over into dark areas. The disadvantage of it is, I think, is probably 2 major things. The number one, hello, Amber. The number one disadvantage, I think, is you don't have any kind of depth perception while using it. So, you're walking through the woods, and next thing you know, you do what I did on a hunt that we was on. You fall into the lake. And I wasn't even using a IR camera that night. I just fell into the lake in one of those little pockets that are right there under the weeds. So, and there's a lot of cliffs out there where I'm at. I mean, you could fall off a cliff because a lot of that is reclaimed land that's been dug for coal. And as a lot of you know, those coal pits, they are not shallow. Coal pits here in Oklahoma can be very, very deep. I'm sure Randy knows about the coal pits.
I try to avoid, dark, deep holes. You never know what might be lying in them, wanting to
Yeah.
eat you.
Yeah.
It just wanted to tickle your foot. But yeah, it's
Well, hey, that might be a place for you to go camping, though. Near some of those coal mines if you want some more activity.
Yeah, I thought about that, but man, when you're after them coal mines, they have so many tunnels and so many caves. I mean, if they're
I'm not
around, they.
saying that'd be foolish. Camp on the outside.
Oh yeah, and then have
and
your
see
buddy
if-
have your buddy camp in the middle.
Or take Jess with you. Let her camp inside. You camp outside. See who gets the most activity.
Nope. Nope. Mm-mm. Nope.
I don't. I wouldn't do that either.
Yeah, I would like to take a camping trip down there to where Sarah saw that lady walking through the woods.
I don't. I used to go fishing that night all the time by myself. You couldn't pay me enough to go solo fishing or camping by myself. Forget that crap. It's not worth it.
Be like, something walk up behind you. Did you get a bite? Nope.
You
want one?
Water, so there's no way that you can really guard your backside while you're fishing. So you're open for if anything wants to come up from behind you and get you.
Right.
I can remember hearing things, but I just figured it was a possum or something and never turned around to look. It's probably a good thing I didn't turn around to look and see what some of those sounds were.
Yeah. Yes.
You just never know.
Yeah, a lot of people that end up missing, their head seems to be turned around the wrong way. I hear in a lot of the reports. So
Maybe it's because they did turn around.
too far. Well, he went fishing last night. Looks like he got a bite. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Levon said, yes, they will. Amber, I have thought about using a backpack and stuff like that, even some tactical gear that I used to use when we worked. But then my thoughts are that if you do encounter somebody out there or law enforcement, you don't want to be, I don't think, real tactical dressed. Not saying that it's illegal. It's just how they're going to interpret you walking out of the woods in a ghillie suit with guns all over you and a bunch of equipment.
Yeah.
You're probably going to have a lot of. You're at least going to have to explain what's going on.
That might be hard to talk your way out of that one, though, right? What are you doing in a ghillie suit, armed to the teeth, with all that equipment on you? What are you hunting?
Yeah. I'm not being abducted again.
You're going to take me without a fight this time.
They're not going to make me a slave on the moon again.
Well, if you've watched any of Missing 411, some of those hunters' rifles are found on the ground next to them. Like that weapon did absolutely no good against whatever got them.
Yeah. I even wonder, and you probably went through this in the military, a lot of the weapons that are not used is, even in our training, a person doesn't know how they're going to react until that moment comes to use justifiable actions, we'll call it that, compared to running, freezing, dropping the weapon, crying. Because there has been even, police officers, security officers faced with life or death situations to where lethal force may need to be used and they're unable to do what they were trained to do because you don't know how you're going to react until you're in that situation. That's the one thing that your training can never train you for, is that moment to where you may have to take something's life, and you're never going to know how you're going to react until you're in that situation. Because I've had officers, freeze. I've had them just totally freak out. And then you got some that are just naturals, man. They're like John Wayne. Yeah, why don't you go for it, partner? And that's probably the ones that are, mad at the world.
Well, I don't know how your training goes, but I know with military training, they pretty much get you to a point where, I mean, we don't even think about it.
Right.
It just becomes second nature. I think
Did they
even
ever
now, huh?
did they let you all use like live ammo?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just messing with you.
You're such a jerk.
Paybacks, Mike. They're coming back around. I imagine sometime this year.
We got Brandon Patrick is in the chat tonight. He says that oh my god, I clicked on it as soon as I seen his picture. This is my little cousin. So I hope that we're able to at least bring some things out tonight that will give some answers. There's not a lot. I guess we ought to start down this trail. What do y'all think? I think
Let's go.
Probably time to do it. We can watch and see what we got here. We know that during the first initial outing of this case, and Randy, feel free to hop in anytime you got a question, because if I go too far, I'll forget what I'm talking about, and I'll just be like, huh? I'll have that.
Well, I don't know a lot about this case, very little, so I'll do the best I can, Mike.
Okay. I missed something. Let me see. I'm doing Gina. Gina, I'm doing good. Good to see you tonight. Glad you're here. Randy, you have she said hello to you also, Randy.
Hello, Gina.
So we know whenever this case, and I'd like to just start off by saying that it is a very sad case anytime there's a child involved. So condolences and prayers to the family. It started out whenever the young child, the investigators, and this is what I found. Investigators still don't know for sure what kind of animal or animals attacked and killed a Knott County boy last week. And then what I found in that is that right there is definitely a pattern that I have found that is being used in a lot of this. I try to, and I don't do it on purpose, but it's probably a lot of the ways I was trained to do things. I look for patterns. And if you notice in a lot of these, it's always, an animal. We don't know what kind of animal, but an animal done this. And to me, even with it not being a cryptid, okay, say it's not even a cryptid, I still think that's reckless to make that determination early on whenever you could be looking at a potential human attack. I think that investigators need to stick with being investigators and not coroners, detectives, and everything, and making a determination, predetermining a scene. Because if you go in there and you predetermine a scene as a animal attack as opposed to a human attack, there is different procedures, protocols, evidence collecting, and sealing off a scene. There's a chain of command. Go ahead, Jesse.
But isn't there isn't
I've seen you rattling.
but isn't there some telltale signs when you arrive on a scene, though, that it's going to definitely tell you that this is definitely some type of an animal attack, as opposed to this could be an animal attack or a human attack?
I think it depends on the situation. We go by, or what they, and I would guess that every state would be kind of the same because we're regulated federally by our training. Uh, we go by a lot of things as far as was there an eyewitness to the account? What was it was the person whenever they passed away, was they alone? Was there somebody present? Was there a witness? Was there a caretaker? For instance, in Oklahoma, if you have an unattended death in a home, there is procedures that you have to take in order to be able to move that body. If the person was suffering from a terminal illness, it's a lot easier paperwork. It's not meaning easier for the family or the person, but the process, I guess I should say better, is easier. And the reason for that is because it was an expected death. On the other hand, if you have an unexpected death that was a unattended death, nobody was there. It's hard to tell from an animal from a human because we have people that are so sadistic that they could use a knife or an instrument that would and sometimes duplicate or look like an animal attack. And I think that whenever we look at a scene, we shouldn't predetermine in our minds. As an investigator, one of the hardest things they tell you in your school is the hardest thing is to not draw your own opinion, is to be totally open to the outcome of the evidence, because the evidence is going to take you to the truth, but it may not take you to the truth you want. And I think we see a lot of that in this community is people want the truth, but they don't want the truth. They want their truth. And whenever we start putting our own emotional feelings into the truth, we become complacent and we start using our own feelings to manipulate what we want that truth to be. So I think that we need to be, at least if it's unattended, I think that it should be looked at first as a possible homicide, and then we should work our way down. I mean, and then there would be other cases that I would say that we wouldn't want to start at the upscale and say that it was a cryptid, that we want to start at a human and then work our way to the cryptid. When all else fails, go outside of the box, but try to explain a situation within the box. There is no way they're ever going to allow any investigator or any law enforcement to go out and to say none of this fits the criteria of a known species on Earth. This was definitely either a cryptid or an alien attack on this guy. You're never gonna see that. And if you do see that, in my opinion, it's going to come from guys that don't wear badges. They probably wear camouflage, and it's going to be probably have certain security clearances. That's where a lot of that takes place. Anything you want to add?
No. I was reading chat. Sorry.
I laughing.
Blaine information in chat, Mike, just to let you know.
Yeah. Brandon Patrick.
Okay, what do you do?
He's been sharing information about this case in chat.
Okay.
Very.
Is there anything that he has said that you think that we need to put out there? I missed it.
Jess, do you think any of this information is important or not, or do you know?
It's definitely interesting, but I mean, it's definitely interesting. He said he was a preemie baby and always slow, had one leg that barely worked, so he had to use a walking stick and limped. He had that stick with him. He took it everywhere, and we still haven't found it.
Okay.
His uncle.
Brandon, let me. Do you have our link, Randy, available for our email? Do you have that, or I can type it in if you don't?
I think, Mike. Let me scan through this real quick.
Okay, Brandon, I'm going to have Randy put a link out for you. And if you don't mind, email me. And when we get done tonight, if you have some information that I don't have, maybe we can get together. And if you want, only if you want to, and maybe share some things that you and your family may want out there that hasn't been put out there. I would help you the best I can.
Hey, go ahead and put out your email. My link to your email just kind of vanished.
Okay.
And I'll recreate it. That way I'll have it.
But yeah, wow. Yeah, this is definitely a bizarre, sad thing that happened. The second thing that I also found is they said that upon arrival, troopers and first responders were led up a mountainside behind a residence where they located Mr. Godsey. Corey was pronounced, and this is where, and I don't know, Brandon, exactly, and I'm glad you're here, what they was getting at. But they said that Corey Godsey was found approximately 300 to 400 feet up a very steep, rough terrain hill that was even hard for the first responders to be able to traverse. Another thing that I found, they didn't really clarify, was that he was found fatally wounded and then was later pronounced dead. So they almost make it sound, it reminded me a lot of the Brenda Hamilton case. That whenever he was found, it almost sounds like that he was still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is the case, and I say a big if that is the case, then God only knows what he's seen or what he went through. Why would these creatures why do these creatures, and creatures meaning a variety, even up into a human can be a monster. I think monsters, let's use monster. Why do these monsters do what they do?
Mm-hmm.
And are they left alive on purpose? Again, we don't know because we're not able to study patterns, and that makes it very, very hard. Go ahead. Did y'all have something?
No, my fat cat was trying to jump on the table,
Okay.
and I didn't want him knocking everything over.
I thought I heard you fixing to talk. I was like, I'm fixing to get it. Um, it says it says an autopsy was performed at the state medical examiner's office in Frankfurt, February 19th. The cause of death was initially, and now, okay, you're going to have to listen, guys. This is you're getting into police lingo here, and I'll try to do my best to explain. Okay. Whenever they say the cause of death was initially determined to be injuries consistent with an animal attack through specific animal identifications was not determined. Okay. Two things you need to pay attention to there. What they're saying is initially, which they're saying that was somebody's opinion, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go down and you look at injuries consistent with, not injuries from an animal, they're consistent with, which means it could be deep gouging, it could be slashing, it could be a number of things that would be consistent with what an animal would be able to do. Okay. And that's gonna be a big factor as we look more into this case as we continue, because you're gonna find that they get really, 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 really easy at using that word as it continues. Let me see over. And okay, so it was consistent. Additional information and details will be released when available. Trooper Jody Sims, a spokesperson for the Hazard KSP Post, said lab results are expected later this week that should help determine the species of the animal or animals involved. Again, they're not saying dogs yet. They're saying species of what animal.
Mm-hmm.
So they're being real close, to leave themselves a loophole. They're not, they're not saying this is what's happened. Corey Godsey, and this is where it gets tough for me. Any kind of child case is always hard, but this kind of like brings home the reality. And having children around this age, it's Corey Godsey was a 13-year-old male. He died Tuesday, February 18th, near his home. He was born in Lexington on November 23rd, 2006, to Molly Napier and Gary Wayne Godsey. He was 13 years old. It says that he was a disabled child, is what they talk about. He had disabilities. Wish 411 believes that might be part of the criteria for being chosen, if that is in fact what this case is even dealing with. 6 months of investigating, Kentucky State Police have determined the cause of death of 13-year-old Corey Godsey. The teenager was found dead on February 18th in a suspected animal attack. Again, they're already suspecting animal attack. His body was located 1,500 feet up a hillside behind a residence. With the assistance of fish and wildlife officers, there we go, there's our game wardens on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
KSP detectives utilized wildlife cameras to locate multiple dogs on an old mine site near the area where Godsey was found. So he was, and from what, and I'm not saying this out of, I'm not attacking Brandon in the chat, but until I speak with Brandon, I have to assume that he is a relative. Or, allegedly, if he had a bad leg and a walking stick, and you have first responders, search and rescue saying that they had trouble traversing the terrain, then my personal opinion would be that it was very unlikely that this child went 1,500 feet up that.
Without help on his own. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't think that he walked up there and was attacked. I think he was attacked and took up there. Again, you have to speculate.
Mm-hmm.
The dogs were transported to the Kentucky River Animal Shelter in Hazard, where DNA samples were collected. Okay, we're going to break this down. The DNA samples were compared to evidence located on the victim. The lab results showed that specimens from several of the dogs matched those found on the victim. Authorities stated they did not know the types of dogs involved. Reports the Troublesome Creek Times, other Time outlets also spoke with law enforcement, which gave the same report. In other words, dogs were likely that attacked him. And then this is where it gets weird. If it were dogs, okay, You notice they're not saying definitively it was dogs. If it were dogs that attacked him, then they believe that these dogs would not have ever had an owner and would have been completely wild if they were dogs. My question is, with all the animals throughout the United States in every state, why are dogs always the first to be blamed? Probably because dogs are more prevalent. Dogs attack people. Dogs are known to kill people. So, and we'll talk more about that in a minute because I have a theory. Knott County, Kentucky State Police confirmed a juvenile died in a suspected animal attack in Knott County, an area in eastern Kentucky. State troopers were called to the scene on, I'm not going to give the address just out of respect to the family, also known as blank, 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 blank road. The minor was discovered deceased in a wooded area several hundred feet up a hillside near a home in the town, according to Trooper Jody. Rain, now listen to this, rain and dark conditions made finding the minor child difficult. So you're talking a very steep hill, a child that has a physical disability, and it is alleged in some of the reports that he also had a mental disability.
Now, if the images that I saw of the terrain also were correct, I mean, when they say very steep hill, this really was an extremely steep, like hills. It almost, from what I saw, almost could be, in my opinion, a cliff. But of course, I'm here from Wisconsin, so cliffs are a little bit, I don't know. It was very steep. It would have been difficult for even a dog to drag anything up the way. Does that
Was
make
there
sense?
any kind of a blood trail from when the attack initially happened to where the body was found at, or do we not have any of that information?
It's not listed in the information. Good question, though.
Because how do they determine if it's an animal, or did they already know? I mean,
You know, I think that the officers and people that respond, even the first responders, are conditioned to think that animals. I hope that makes sense without me getting myself in too much trouble. I think that, and I'm just guessing, I think that they are probably within their training, probably pushed a lot into the animal theory.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you call it an animal until such and such can get there, and then we will determine exactly what it was. Okay, so there is a. Let me find this real quick. Okay, so from what I know, through what I've seen in reports of dog bites and stuff that we had to deal with at my job and stuff like that. And then later on, I'm going to go and we're going to. I spoke with a actual professional dog handler that is an officer, and I will give you his opinion in just a little bit. He's a friend of mine, and he has done this for over 20 years. Has been a dog handler for the police department. When a dog or a canine or something, I'm not talking about cats, and I need people to understand because that is important. Dogs, when they attack, do not normally move, and I'll explain it. A predator, okay? Dogs don't look at humans as a food source. When a dog attacks a human, it's out of fear or out of territorial behavior. That's most of the time that you're going to be attacked by a dog. They're afraid of you, or you've invaded their territory. Their territory could be the space around their owner that they're protecting, or their owner, okay? So whenever a dog attacks, that dog is not going to kill you and move your body, okay? A dog doesn't move a human body, because to the dog, we are not a food source. We were a competition. We were an enemy. They're going to attack you, and depending on if you escape or if you are, unalived, which I hate that word, then they're going to find you either where you were able to crawl to, walk to, or where the incident happened, most generally. Because the dog has no interest in moving you and dragging you around. You most generally are going to outweigh the dog. The dog gets no gratification for moving you. Dogs don't like the taste of human blood and meat. We are not their source of food. They're not interested. Most of the time. I mean, there's other situations to where, a dog would probably feast on you. But normally not in an attack outdoors is a dog going to do that. They have too many other options. One person said that they was talking to said that terrain was so steep, that it was so hard to navigate. This is a first responder, that they couldn't even understand how the child would have even have got to the location that he was even at. They said they were having such a hard time traversing the terrain that they were having to use the rope buddy system, anchoring to trees to be able to reach his body. So if there isn't a rope, yeah.
How the hell did they find it if it was so hard to get up there? I mean, how did they find the body? How did they know where to go search for the body? I mean, does that make any sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think probably, and here we go. We're we're speculating again. Is probably what happened is whenever the first responders were called, they initiated a search party, and that search party expanded out, and his body was probably discovered with, guessing, because I don't have that information in front of me, maybe a search and rescue dog or personnel may have found him. Brandon says his uncle, actually, right here, guys. Brandon is saying his uncle led them to the body. So how did the uncle, I do not want to go down that road, because I don't want to start any conspiracy theories or speculation, because we don't know. And I think that would be a dangerous route for me to start.
Do we have any kind of a timeline from when the event happened till they found the body of the child?
From what I read, I don't believe there was a large timeline. I mean, he went missing, search and rescue was called, the body was located. It sounds like it would have been earlier or later that evening, because they talk about dark conditions with rain. So I'm guessing, it can be dark in the evening, but I'm guessing late evening or night is whenever he was probably located.
Did it rain during this time?
Do what?
Do we have any idea of the weather? You were talking about rain. Did it rain? It was raining during. Okay.
Yeah, it was rain. We know it was raining whenever they when they found the body.
So any tracks? So any tracks from the predator, whether it be man or beast, were gone from the rain. So there was no way to track whatever did that. Is that basically what I'm getting with this information?
That's exactly what I was getting to. And another thing that 411, they talk about that right before a weather event, that these things will happen, and it kind of fits within that. Looking at that terrain, I probably looked at some of the same photos that Jesse looked at. It doesn't look like it would be real good terrain to capture a print off of anyways. It looked pretty rocky to me, pretty covered. So
Mm-hmm.
How could the little dogs get up there in all the rain and stuff? I mean, they would have had to kill the kids and drag them up there. I don't think a little dog could have dragged up that hill. I just don't see a little dog doing that. Like you say, dogs when they attack, and I've been attacked by Doberman Pinschers that were attack trained when I was 16 years old. They will try to kill you. They will go for your weak spots. They'll try to go for your throat. They'll try to hit your vital, any place where they can get you to bleed. They'll grab and snap and how they can claim the little dogs dragged this child up a hill and then consumed them up there. That makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
And I'm going to take this just real quick, Randy, not to cut you off. Just on Brandon's comments, I just want to put out a disclaimer and say that I have no way of verifying that Brandon is part of the family, and until I can, I have to put a disclaimer out and assume it as alleged at this point, and that's just trying to be professional. I don't want to go down a road I don't know where I'm going blindly because of the loss of a child, and that's respect to Brandon and his family and to the child until I can verify who I'm speaking with.
Okay.
I don't want to cause speculation on somebody that's not guilty of that, because I know what it feels like to be unjustly lied about and accused. And that's the last thing that I would want to do to anybody, especially involving a minor child. But there's sickos out there that will take things and twist it, and unfortunately that hurts us when we investigate things, because there's hoaxers and AI and Jesse and all kinds of people out there. You never know. For the people in the chat that are wondering how far was this child moved, 1,500 feet. For anybody that doesn't really know, to give you kind of a picture, that's about 3 football fields would be the approximate length that the child was moved. So pretty good distance, especially little dogs, right? This is where it gets interesting. I don't mean interesting as in good, but I mean interesting from a investigative standpoint. Destiny Caldwell, a woman who lives just up the road from the scene of the attack, said she heard a woman screaming for help and for someone to call 911. I'm going to stop right there and break this down, because I feel like if I pass that, then I'm going to pass what I want to get out there. Okay. Again, this is what I get from this. If they called a search and rescue team to locate the body, but she screamed and was upset and was screaming, call 911, it almost sounds like they knew where the body was before they ever called search and rescue. That's a huge speculation. I hate speculating, but to me, that jumps out at me. Okay. She called 911 while a male adult drove the road to see if he could assist. The man returned once emergency service arrived and said that a child had been mauled by a pack of dogs. Again, they're already saying a pack of dogs done it. Caldwell was later told the boy was 13 years old and had died in the attack. Caldwell did not know the boy or any of the people involved, but thought that the scene was suspicious. We don't know what suspicious is to him. If he's not a first responder, a law enforcement officer, suspicious to him could just be the scene of an attack where somebody lost their life.
Mm-hmm.
Emergency services at the scene were blaming dogs at the scene immediately. Again, that goes back to where I believe that they're taught to go down that road, and I don't think it's necessarily that your first responders are hiding anything on purpose. They're just taught to go that way, that route. I don't think on the level of the first responder. I have to be careful how I say that. Is where any conspiracy would start, unless that first responder was affiliated with a higher power and about said it. So you know what I'm talking about. Hopefully, an autopsy was performed at the state medical examiner's office in Frankfurt on Wednesday. Confirmed the autopsy report determination was this case caused injuries resulting in the death of Corey Godsey. The injuries that Corey Godsey suffered were consistent with those injuries of an animal attack. At the time of the attack, the teenager was staying at a relative's home. The boy's information is withheld because he is a minor child, but the coroner did not feel comfortable saying what animal attacked him due to the DNA and nature of the wounds. And I'll give you all the floor on that one so I don't get myself. That way I got somebody else to blame too of this.
The DNA in nature of the wounds? Is that
no,
like
the nature of the wounds and the DNA report that they got back. The DNA report that they got back, and we'll go more into that here in a minute, but let's just say that the DNA is going to be pretty much what every other case says.
So based on the wounds and the DNA, it didn't match. Is that what they're saying?
The coroner didn't feel comfortable putting down what type of animal done it based on the evidence.
Well, how many times does that happen? I mean, isn't that their job? Or did they redact it to protect something?
In my own unprofessional opinion, a coroner can pretty well look at a body most of the time, and they can tell you what done it. You know, they deal with it day in, day out. And then again, you have to also, configure what are they in a highly populated area, but either way, they're seeing things that we don't see on a lot more basis. So I think it's weird him being a professional. He's a doctor, medical examiner. Him looking at a medical report and then looking at wounds and saying, well, these wounds are consistent with an animal attack, but looking at the data and the DNA, I'm just not comfortable saying what took his life. I'll say it was an animal.
Mike, short announcement, Lisa Ann is celebrating her birthday. Happy birthday, Lisa Ann.
Happy birthday, Lisa Ann.
Oh, yeah, happy birthday.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mike. Continue, sir.
So, I mean, what does that make you think initially whenever you hear that?
Sounds like something out of the X-Files.
Exactly. It sounds like the autopsy knows exactly what killed him, but didn't want to pick the file. Mm-hmm. That'd be my opinion based on the information that I'm looking at now.
Yep.
Most definitely an X-file.
It's an abnormal file. Let's see. And then let's see. Troopers say, now this right here is where it starts getting weird to me. Okay. This is where things really start taking like a weird turn, right? Troopers say in a public announcement, people in the area should remain hyper vigilant, especially at night. But there is no immediate threat to the community.
That just contradicts itself. I mean, the first sentence contradicted the second sentence.
Well, my question would even be, since they're so sure that this was a animal attack and that it was a dog attack, right? Then why would they say, well, you need to be more careful at night? I mean, as far as I know, there's no data out there that says that a dangerous dog is more dangerous at night than it is in the daytime.
Well, maybe they were trying to warn people that there's a apex predator out there killing and eating people, but that's the best that they could say to get that warning out. Maybe.
But
they
I know
tried
that
to warn. Good.
I know that if I was a creature that was half, if entertainment purposes only, if I was a creature that was half fallen angel, that my abilities were best served for me to hunt in low light, I would probably be more dangerous at night. And if law enforcement knew that, that would almost make me think that they already knew what was in the area. Just speculation.
Yeah.
Or could it be because people, I mean, you're already on guard already at night for the most part because you can't really see, but if you're familiar with the area, you tend to let your guard down because you know the area and you're familiar. So if they were to tell people to keep hyper focused and vigilant at night, whereas they wouldn't normally be, could that be the reason why? I'm just devil's advocate.
Well, I think that they do what they do best. I think they're CYA. I think that they know what they're talking about, but they're going to give you enough disinformation that people are going to confuse themselves. You know, sometimes they tell you to give people a whole bunch of information that doesn't mean anything. That's one of the tactics that we're taught too, is to give a whole lot of disinformation. Because while they're over there trying to break down who stole Johnny's dog, we're over here giving Johnny back his dog, you know.
Okay.
Do we have any? Has there been any attacks like this in this area? Do we have any information on the? Has there been other attacks like this?
I couldn't find any in the immediate area, but what I did find is this case does follow pretty close to Brenda Hamilton and another young man that I investigated here in Oklahoma. There is a whole lot of similarities, almost to the point to where it would almost make you say, if you were investigating somebody, that you would say you had a serial killer.
Interesting.
That kind of gave me goosebumps.
Well, now here's the thing: we have a serial killer. Is it human or is it something else? I mean, I'm just going based on the information at hand. We know we got something killing people here. Is it human or is it something else?
In my humble opinion, based on the evidence at this point in the conversation and in the investigation, I would say that the likelihood of a human doing this is very, very low.
I would concur.
Are you going to execute me, or are you going to concur?
I'm waiting for the next. I'm waiting for the next bit of information to come out. I'm biting my tongue.
Don't do that. That causes you to get those sores on there that hurt really bad. Then you can't eat. And eating's very important to me. I don't like those. Now, this is the part, and I want to see your all's face whenever I read this. When I found this today, I had a thought that our good friend Moggs has a lot. WTF.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the reason I thought that was, are y'all ready for this?
Ready.
The Kentucky State Patrol, after all of this, spokesperson, and I'm not going to put his name out there because I'm not going to piss him off. Y'all can go look him up if you want to, but him being a captain, I was a captain, and I know what they can do. So I'm just going to, you all go look this up. He released a report later, and he said their initial determination by a separate autopsy other than the state that the family hired the injuries caused on the young child, which caused him to later pass away. I'm changing words, guys, to be more softer for the family. Were not consistent with an animal attack. This was an out-of-town coroner.
That's a twist.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we get some reasoning behind how he determined that?
If you probably was to put him on the stand in a court of law, he would say in his professional opinion. And then he would go into animal attacks, and he would go into wounds and wound closures and sutures, and he would go into the whole thing.
Sorry, Jess, I didn't mean to cut you short.
No.
Okay. Sometimes there's a little lag, so if I cut in front of you, it's not intentional.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I got a little lag too. So what are your thoughts now? I know that has to really, because I mean it really twisted me up.
So is he saying an animal didn't do it, a human did?
No,
is that what he's getting?
Not saying a human. He's just saying it's not consistent with an animal attack.
Oh, normal.
So in his words, as a professional, he's saying that what he's looking at was not caused by an animal.
And this autopsy was paid for by
the family.
family?
Which could lead you to even ask the question, why did the family hire an outside source to do the investigation? What did they know that made them question the coroner in a town that he probably knows everybody and has connections and could be under the influence of, and it's all speculation. But, there was things going on that tells me that the family wasn't happy with the report, the initial report.
Right.
That they were questioning at the least what was going on.
Were they happy with this report?
I haven't seen a report. I haven't seen a report come out of a third one.
So we have no information what's on the autopsy.
If I were guessing, I would say that the family was probably in agreement with the second report, seeing as there wasn't a third one. What do you all think?
It wasn't an animal.
Suspect.
Wasn't human. So it was something else other than animal or human? Is that what this autopsy is saying, that it wasn't an animal and it wasn't human? Is that how I'm reading the statement?
Well, what throws me off on the autopsy really is, I mean, I'm not a medical doctor, just an investigator that investigates. And y'all correct me if you think, if it makes sense to you. What really threw me off about that was he didn't come out and say, I don't believe it was dogs that done this. I don't believe it was a mountain lion. He came out and made the full statement. I do not believe an animal done this. But he also did not list that a human would have done it. And if he would have found that, that would have most definitely been in his report, that this appears to be a homicide to me and not an animal attack. It would be somewhere along those lines. So he's pretty much saying, I don't know what took this young man's life, but I know it wasn't a dog or an animal. I know it wasn't an animal I mean, you can break that down so many different ways. You can even say, okay, he's saying it's not an animal, but is it not an animal that we're familiar with or that we have on our records?
you know these people have the authorities does the DNA testing, and I'm sure they have plenty of DNAs of these monsters somewheres on record. So they probably somebody knows what did this, and they're just hiding it from the public, in my opinion, because they don't want the truth to get out. Can you imagine if people knew there were monsters roaming around that could eat you? You don't think that wouldn't create panic? Is this
Right.
why they're keeping this information under wraps? Because they don't want to start a mass panic? Because what could you do, really? I mean, what are you going to do against a creature like this who can hide right in front of your eyes? How are you going to hunt this thing down to kill it? It's going to be very difficult.
Right.
Well, I mean, as we go into this further tonight, there's going to be a lot of things that really make me question a lot of things. The officials say the boy, again, they keep reiterating this, was staying at a relative's house, but the young child was not new to the area, and the child knew the area very well. And again, the injuries were not consistent with an animal attack. So authorities are telling people in the area to be hyper vigilant and to not just be watching for an aggressive animal.
Not just be watching for an aggressive animal.
Right. So is this somebody that turns into an animal? I mean, what are you supposed to be watching for?
Yeah, is it one of those skin things that we're not supposed to discuss?
Right.
Or like Levon said in the chat, an alien creature.
Yeah.
Huh.
Right.
Mm. Uh,
You know, I mean, Levon says maybe the child ran away and climbed the hillside and someone did this to him. I thought that first, Levon, until I really looked into the reports and looked at the terrain and with the shape that this young child was in. There's no way he went up there by himself. He wouldn't have been able to do that. These first responders had to use a rope to even be able to get up to anchor off to trees to help each other up. I mean, they were like carabinered off to these ropes just to walk the terrain. And the child had a bad leg and allegedly walked with a stick. So I don't see him being able to traverse. I mean, that hill was almost straight up and down.
mm-hmm.
I mean, and 1,500 yards, 3 football fields. That's a pretty good hike on that kind of terrain. Amber makes a really good point. Put yourself in the doctor's shoes and imagine the pressure put upon him to keep his mouth shut. The
Yeah.
officials know what it was, however, they will never divulge the truth to the public. I think that's hitting. That's right on.
Yeah.
Because of the panic. Can you imagine how much of a panic that would start if everybody knew there were monsters running around, but there's nothing they can do about it? I mean, really, kind of, how many people would be able to handle the truth if the truth about the real creatures running around were out? I don't think everybody could handle it.
And then you're the coroner, and you're sitting there looking at, a body, and a guy walks in a suit, and he's like, "Dog attack, right, Randy?" And you're like, and you're like, "No, I don't think so. This looks like something else to me." Well, I'd sure
don't agree.
I'd sure hate to see that come out other than a dog attack, because you never know, Randy. I mean, you could be hunted next. We really need to get rid of these evil dogs,
That doctor doesn't agree. He could be the next victim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that bacon I smell on your coat, your lab coat today? I mean, there would have to be a tremendous amount of pressure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because the powers that be want the truth to get out.
and then the troopers, even again, and I highlighted this because to me it started getting to be asinine, because they started reiterating, they put out another warning for the community. Troopers say people in the area should remain hyper vigilant, especially at night, but there is no immediate threat to anyone in the community. We believe this may have been only a one-time event. Okay, so you don't know what done it, so how can you come out and say it's a one-time event?
They're, again, trying to cover their own butts.
You know, and this is important right here. Amy says it. Brandon said that Corey was afraid of the woods because there was something hairy in the woods watching him. Wow. There you go. What would have the strength to take a child 1,500 feet up a hill like that? Just throwing that out there.
Would that make it a Bigfoot? Or, I don't know.
I wouldn't say necessarily a Bigfoot, but definitely something that didn't belong.
Yeah.
Something that needed a bick. I mean, this thing was if the child says something's watching me in the woods, I'm afraid of the woods. Children know if something is dangerous or not a lot of times. Children are very open to that. So I would say that child probably had seen something in the woods and knew that, God, I would hate to even think that child would even think that whatever it was after him. And then it even makes you go down this, I mean, you could even go down this trail and thinking, okay, if the child said that, how long has this been happening? And prior to the attack, what kind of interactions has the kid had with this thing, you know? Has this been going on for a while? Yeah. Did the creature, gain trust?
Yeah.
Ellen, that will be happening if I can get that to happen. And you know, I agree with Figgy. That is, you know, that's a hell of a statement. Another release that they released was something happened in this community. I'm not going to give the name of the town out just for the family. It was in Knott County. I'll give you that much. We just urge people to be very cognizant of their surroundings again. Be careful about the things you have around your home. Troopers advise people in the area, do not be leaving out potential food sources for wild animals. Secure those in garbage cans and containers, whatever you have to do. But we would rather that you don't even put them out. So are they saying don't gift them?
It sounds like they're trying to push the narrative that it was a wild animal of some sort to make people not think about it. Because, I mean, for the large population of people in the area, they would be most likely to go, oh yeah, you heard them say don't leave the food out. Yeah, we're not supposed to leave food out for animals, and you know, because it attracts bears. And so it sounds like they're trying to brush it off while still giving that warning.
Do not feed the bears or poke them
or take them for a picnic basket.
And if you do, you might make a deal with them.
Or is that their generic statement to try to put people at ease in that area?
Yeah.
If you do this, this creature won't.
I don't think that gives people peace, you know. don't be putting food out because there's something in the area. It might just come up and have you as the main course and pack a lunch and take what you left out.
Well, but again, it's a generalized statement that they would. I mean, when you go camping in parks and stuff, they even say, make sure you put your food up or tie it up or store it away from the tent, locked up in a vehicle. So it's kind of like that same generalized statement to make people go, oh yeah, as long as we don't have food out, we shouldn't have to worry about whatever this creature was.
But then that kind of does away with the being hypervigilant. So they're contradicting themselves a whole lot, but they have to give you a sense of security too.
Right.
That there is things that you can do to be safe.
Right.
It's part of their information campaign that they do. They give some good, and then they give out a lot of misinformation. Just like you said, smoke it in so you don't see what's going on.
Right.
Meanwhile, there's some kind of monster running around killing and eating people, you know?
Right. So here is where it takes another turn. Here is another turn in the road. There was a man that lived up in a home by the mines where the body was found. This man has lived there his whole life. He's an older man. He reported in the area that he had been hearing howls from a creature that he has never heard before and has seen things watching him from the tree line. He reported this to the local authorities, which mocked him and made fun of him. And he later redacted his statement saying it was probably the wild dogs at the mine. But after that, the police come out and make another report and say, we have received multiple reports of a bipedal creature in the area, and we want to reassure everyone there is no threat in the area.
That just raises an alarm right there. A bipedal creature, but there's no threat in the area.
Right.
What type of bipedal dog are they talking about? I mean, seriously. They're saying there's dogs running around, and now they're saying it's running around on 2 feet. But
climbing up steep mountain hills, right? Yeah.
Yeah. There's a 2-legged dog running around, but don't worry, guys, it's not a threat.
And then one of the saddest statements that you can find in the autopsy report is that, let me see how I can put this. I'm not going to read it directly from. Not all of the child was located.
Mm.
Yeah, that doesn't sound consistent either with
a dog attack.
Right. I don't know how many of y'all have watched some of my investigations, especially on the Oklahoma child that I done. But if you take this case, you compare it with the kid in Oklahoma, the McNeilis case, and then you take Brenda Hamilton and you compile these and put them together, it's almost like you're looking for the same murderer. You have a pattern. The child in Oklahoma was consumed alive. He was decapitated and his head placed underneath his left arm. There was a whole lot to that case, a whole lot of really weird things. You have to ask yourself, and again, it's hard to say, because if this was, and I'm just saying hypothetically, if this was a serial killer, then your questions would be, is this person cannibalistic, or or the things that they're taking from the victim's trophies? Or both? Um, I'm going to throw something up on the screen that may be disturbing to people, but sometimes that's just how these cases are. But and I want everybody to understand that that is allegedly right now. Entertainment purposes only. If you're talking 76% missing, you're talking there wasn't much brought down the hill. I agree, Figgy. I agree completely.
If the 13-year-old weighed 100 pounds, they only found 25 pounds of them. That's horrific.
Right. Yeah, Shirley, the woods were right at the back of the yard. Same as in the McNeilis case, also, the child that went missing there. There was a pasture at the back of their yard, and his family did not keep up the maintenance or the care on their yard, so their yard was really grown up also, which only gives these creatures somewhere to be able to hide. Uh, it almost sounds like what you're dealing with, that whatever this is, whatever it is, because I'm not, I'm not going to say definitively one way or the other, but what I would say is whatever you're dealing with definitely has a taste for human flesh. To me, the attacks that are happening, just looking at it from an investigative standpoint, from state to state, even been that far apart, the similarities to the attacks, the victims, the missing body parts, consumed alive. It's it almost makes you think that you're looking for a traveling serial killer. I mean, if this was thought to be a human, which this, and I'm not saying that's what this case is. I'm just talking out of my mind. I do that a lot. Is you would be thinking that we're dealing with a serial killer that is mobile, possibly semi-driver, because to have that big of an expansion of states, but yet still have the same MO, or you're dealing with something that comes from somewhere that has the same techniques, desires, and taste as the others of its kind.
Yep.
I'm going to let you all elaborate real quick, and then I'm going to read the last bit of stuff I have, and I think you'll find it very, very important.
Elaborate on what?
Do you think what we're dealing with, do you think that what it's doing, and I'll put it out, do you think is it hunting humans on purpose? Is it hunting humans because it hates us? Is it hunting us because he likes the taste of us? Is it opportunity? Do do you think that the similarities kind of show us that what we're dealing with may not be the exact same creature, but the same type of creature, as in a creature of habit, like Levon said, or as sport?
Sport. Opportunistic and sport. That's what I think.
I would say they seem to eat humans whenever they get a chance. If they know they can get in and get away with it, seems to be the case. Like if you were to take all these similar cases with the same MO and try to draw a line, could you link these creatures all in, like, do they repeat the patterns of their killing? Or is each one different? There seems to be a pattern, like you said. And well, if there's a pattern, then it means that this creature or creatures seem to be repeating this because people keep coming up missing.
See, I'm more along the lines of what Jan says. I think that if they come from the fallen angels, that they have this deep, resentful hate for us, that whenever they consume our bodies, that, it's a blasphemous ordeal because, number one, we know children are precious in the sight of God. We know that they're innocent, and it's the taking of blood, which we're not supposed to do. So I think they do all of this as a slap in God's face, the Creator's face, because there is so much anger. Because, they say that the demons say that the biggest slap in their face was the creation of humans, the creation of us, because Jesus came down, and this is my belief, guys. I'm not pushing this on anybody. I respect everybody's opinions, but just speaking from me, Jesus came down, and you got to remember the angels were here before us, and they were cast out of heaven, and they knew that they were, they're doomed for hell. And then here comes these humans, right? These faulted humans, right? We do not deserve the glory. We are faulted, and in my belief, in my Christianity, without Christ, we are not good enough to enter into heaven. But whenever Christ died on the cross, he became the mediator for us to save us, that we can be redeemed, we can be saved, that we can live eternally with our Father. There was no mediator that died for the demons or the Nephilim. They have no way for redemption or to be forgiven for their sins. And that's why whenever they asked God, can we be forgiven? And he said, no, not you, nor any of your generations. There is no mediator for them. So imagine the slap in their face to have these angelic abilities, to have seen the things that they have seen, to be able to do the things that they can do, but yet no matter what they do, they will always fall short of God, and we won't.
Mm-hmm. And therefore, what prime opportunities come up when the opportunity arises for them to take out their thrill and sport and hunting us when they can?
I mean, if you don't like something, you usually don't tolerate it.
Right.
Unless you have to. I mean, if you go out and you find a pack of lions, you're not going to shoot one with a single shot 22 because the rest of them are going to get you. But if you go out and you catch a little baby by itself and it's injured and there's an opportunity to do it and to make it look like maybe it drowned or something, then yeah, I can't stand these little things. So I'm going to put one behind the ear and I'm going to lay it in the creek. And
a baby lion? That is a horrible analogy.
I'm not going to shoot a pack of lions though with a single shot 22 because at that point you're lunch. You're done. Can you imagine? From the first report of the rifle, you're going to be shaking so hard you're not even going to be able to load the second bullet because all you're going to see is elbows and in the dust coming at you.
Well, and rightly so. What do the lions do? Oh my gosh.
Right. You're done at that point. As they say, you're toast. And they don't like to be talked about. Randy knows that.
The lions or the cryptids?
Either one. The human lions.
Yeah.
The critters.
Yeah.
So I have something I want to read to y'all and then get your all's, I guess, reaction. I spoke to a friend of mine. Randy's battling the flu, and he even showed up tonight. See, he's a warrior. That's what Marines do. They simplify. But my buddy that I spoke to is a professional dog handler, and I asked him for his professional opinion because he is a professional, so it would be a professional opinion. This is the statement that he gave me. This is the statement that he would give in a court of law. He says, dog handling report for my friend and professional opinion. If a dog were to kill a child in an attack, it is highly likely that the dog would simply leave the child where it is and not attempt to move the body. This is because the dog's primary motivation in such a situation would be fear or panic, not any deliberate action to conceal the body or conceal the attack that the dog may have just incurred. The dog is merely acting on instinct as any animal would and has no motive to conceal the body.
Okay.
I concur with that statement.
Mm-hmm. Sounds, yeah. I agree.
Randy's in deep thought. He's like, am I dinner tonight? Can Randy
He has nothing
hear
to
it?
say.
Yeah, I can hear. There's a little bit of lag.
Randy has went silent.
Can you guys hear me now?
Can hear you.
Yep, we hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you need a statement about the dog? What you said about a dog, I would agree with the statement about the dog.
All right, there we go. He agrees.
Randy concurs with the statement. So I think what I take away from this case at this point and with the information that's available, it looks the same as Brenda Hamilton. It looks the same as McNeilis. It looks the same as a lot of these cases. When you don't know what you're dealing with, give out misinformation, blame it on a dog, hurry up and close the case.
Yep.
That seems like the MO here. How many cases?
My sorry, that little damn werewolf won't shut up.
They might bite your foot off.
But, you know,
mini werewolf.
I think I just found my bait.
No.
You know, I think by reading it, they know what they're dealing with. I mean, it's not every day that you just see people come out and say, hell, you know, we got a bipedal creature walking around out here. It's not something you see every day. I mean, yeah, it's not supposed to be there, but it's not going to hurt you now. We think it's probably moved on, went back into the mines, you know, back down into the cave system, and probably headed back for Oklahoma.
I have a question for you, Mike. Do you know what they're classifying as a bipedal? Any idea what that is?
My understanding of the definition would be anything that walks on two legs.
Yes.
Are there any animals that normally walk on their hind legs? I mean, that regularly walk on their hind legs that we know of? I mean,
I have seen a dog do it inside of a mobile home.
You know the one you go to, right?
My recommendation is if they do it, give it to the neighbor.
Bears have been known to do it, but only for short distances. Some dogs have been known to do it when they have suffered injuries to other portions of their body, or there's plenty of video footage that shows even dogs walking bipedally when they have lost their front legs.
Right.
But
And
it is not something that is natural or easy or definitely not common.
right.
Most definitely.
And if it was a bipedal injured dog like that of such sort out in the wilderness, I don't think it would last very long in the wild.
Well, I mean, even think about this. Considering that they're saying there's a lot of mines up there, it's very hard terrain. It's not going to be walking bipedally. It's going to be on all fours because it's going to be more stable on all fours in that kind of terrain.
Yeah.
So the guy living in the home that was hearing these wild, weird things and seeing this thing out there, probably that's one of the first things that caught his attention was, he looked out the window, and I mean, how many times do you see a wolf, go walking down the tree line like a man staring at you? Okay, yeah, that's a little odd,
Yeah.
Levon nailed it. They know that it either moved on, or I would even add that they caught it or they terminated it.
Uh-huh. But how long? Okay, so that leads to a question then. What was the time frame from when the incident occurred to the final report of them or warning to be vigilant of their surroundings at night?
This guy actually that turned in the reports was actually turning them in before Corey was ever attacked.
But the reports, were they said to remain vigilant at night?
That was after everything.
But how long?
During and after. Like, as soon as they found the body.
You're killing me, Smalls.
they had a press release, and as soon as they started warning.
My question for how long the warnings lasted is because, in my train of thought, what I'm thinking is, if they knew what it was and either got rid of it or took care of the situation, or they knew that it moved on, wouldn't they have to give some type of a warning to the general public to be vigilant and watch out for some wild animals of some sort for a certain period of time? Because if they were to just turn around and say, oh yeah, it wasn't dogs, but you don't have to worry about it anymore, wouldn't that raise more questions to the public?
Well, I think they can't say that it was dogs because there was so many wild dogs up in the mines that everybody would know that there was still wild dogs. I think what they done is, I hate to say this because it sounds so damn evil and it'll probably piss off a lot of people. Makes me mad. They gave the family answers, in essence. Does that make sense? I don't know. I don't want to go deep and hurt feelings and stuff. It was an attempt to give the family closure, to give them, if you will, a bad guy. Because when something happens and people lose a loved one, a lot of questions, and some of the first questions they ask is, who or what done this and why would they do this? They want to know who and what. And I think what they done here, instead of saying, I seen somebody, one of our moderators, put in chat, they've seen dogs dance for treats, instead of them saying, well, we have been seeing this creature up on the mountain that's been dancing for treats, waiting for a human to come up there. They're coming out and they're saying, well, we suspect that it was a dog. We have collected these dogs and we have found specimens on them and the child that match. Now, they're not saying they completely match or they know what it is. They've just found specimens, and that's where you have to be careful because they will allude and lead you to a false narrative to make you believe that those specimens were dog. They're not saying that. They're just saying there was specimens found on the child and on the dogs that matched, which is weird to me, on the dogs. It would lead me to believe, that it would be a red substance is what they're talking about. You can't prove it because they didn't release it, but it's almost like they're telling the family what we picked up is what done this to your child, and there's no longer a threat because we have alleviated that threat. It is no longer a threat. So we're sorry this happened to your kid. Even though, what are they doing over here to get rid of this creature? Because this guy, he was like very public with, I've been seeing this, I've been hearing this, all this was going on up until he was attacked. I've told the police, I've made reports, to all of a sudden he redacted it. I would say he probably got a visit.
Probably. That'd
Hello,
be my
Brenda.
guess.
Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. It's always good to see you when you stop in. I have a million questions. I mean, I would love to, and the family will not give interviews. The mother. I do know that. I would like to know: was the child acting differently before this happened? Did he have an imaginary friend that all of a sudden appeared? Did his mood changes? Did he want to go outside more often? Did he want to go outside at certain times? Was he spending more time in a certain area of the yard than what he normally did? Was he taking food outside to potentially feed to something? There's a lot of questions that I would like to know, but because I have a feeling this wasn't just something that was passing through that grabbed this young man. I think that it probably had been around a while. If what Brandon said in the chat, is true, the child had been seen in a hairy something in the woods. That tells me that these things do what they do. And there's another MO for you is it's like they lock on to somebody and that infatuation takes over. It's like they cannot let go of certain people. I mean, what was Corey's blood type? That would be a good question, what caused this to pick him out? Is it because of the location? They're in, a secluded area. There's a mountain range. It had a means of escape. What, was it opportunity? Was these people allowing this child to go outside that had these disabilities to be left, unsupervised? And, it saw opportunity. Was it on a full moon night? That would be interesting to me, not just because of my theory on the hunting light, but just because I know that there are several children that I have covered now that this happened to them on full moon nights that had a huge significance to dark ritualistic things that happen.
What was the date?
It'd be I'm looking. I had to scroll way up. My eyes ain't as young as they used to be.
Maybe you need to get your glasses checked.
Probably my head. It's probably more my head, Randy.
Oh, well.
There's no help.
Maybe you shouldn't have been dropped too many times in your head when you were younger, huh? Kidding.
Mom didn't like me too much. She was kind of. I'm going to stop because I promised I wouldn't do that tonight. So I'm not going to do that right now.
Right now.
Trust me, Randy, I love what you said, and I could have really went off of that.
I gotta pick on you a little, Mike.
I know it was February something.
Trust me, I want to play. I just can't. I'm looking. Bear with me. February 19th, 2020.
Okay.
I don't know. That's what I get from the case. I don't think that what got him was something that was a surprise to Corey. My question is, was he afraid of what was out there, or was he infatuated with it? That really makes me wonder. Had it gained his trust? Lavon. Yeah, I've been finding that out, Lavon.
It was a waning crescent with 14% illumination.
There you go. Low light, just like we suspect, or I suspect. Low light hunting conditions.
Yep.
Man. And if you look, most of these cases are going to be on a waning or a waxing, and that's why I came to that opinion. The low light, man, they love the low light, except there's an exception for the McNeilis child, but his family was allegedly involved in the dark arts, and the night that he was, my personal opinion, fed to the creature or sacrificed to the creature was a very significant moon phase and exact full moon of that time. And I'm not talking about it was just the full moon of that night. It was the full moon of the hour that he went missing. We may have to re-examine that case. If a lot of y'all would like to see us re-examine that case, let us know, and that may be something. It's a hard case to do because it is a young child, and due to the graphic stuff of that case, it's a hard one to look at because you really can't look at that case and not get into the particulars of it. And I don't want to do that to the family. I mean, his case is not that any of these cases isn't traumatic, but his case is kind of set apart because there was a young girl in Oklahoma. I'll stop. That she was living in the approximate same area as the McNeilis kid, and something bit her over the top of her shoulder, down to her sternum, and middle ways down her back that had over 80 some teeth. She said that whenever she turned around and saw whatever it was running off, it had a large bushy tail and was running on two legs, and it looked like a giant wolf.
Why did it stop?
Because the mom was in the garage and she heard her daughter yell for help. And when the mom opened the garage door, she had, I believe it was German Shepherds they raised. And the German Shepherds went to help the girl. They were barking and tore out of there. And whatever it was, it fled. It actually, they had, if I remember right, a 6-foot fence. And whatever this creature was, when it went over their fence, it actually snapped the top rail pipe. Snapped it.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
And strength.
So,
You something weighed a whole lot, or it was pretty strong to snap that.
That right there is getting that's getting up there to almost as strong as I am, guys. I mean, whenever you get up there to Homelander strength, you got something pretty strong. I mean, I am a pretty muscular guy, you know. I lift tons of weight.
Jess could run with that one. You know it, Mike.
And Jesse, I didn't break the promise. I was talking about me. If anybody's asking,
Yeah.
it was directed toward me.
Yep. Yep.
I can suggest she's just awaiting. One of these days, Mike, you'll get your own. She'll get Hell have like a woman scorned.
Yeah. I think God even warns us about that, don't he?
You're not the sharpest tool in the shed, Mike. Something else.
Especially whenever it comes to women. Not directing that toward anybody. I'm just saying. You know, they say it's better to just stop sometimes. And
Stop while you're at least ahead.
Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna have to find out which moderator this is. Oh, I think I know now. that moderator there is in trouble now. I'm thinking I got some more bait. I do want to say to everybody tonight before we get out of here. This Monday coming up, this Monday coming up, we have the one and only Travis Carpenter coming on the show. He's going to be discussing the DNA project and how it could not have been hoaxed and what they believe it is. And I think that if you watch that show, it's going to help you understand about probably 99% of our shows, because this unknown DNA is going to fit right into what he's going to cover Monday night. So I would highly suggest that you watch that show so you understand why you can get canine DNA, but it still be unknown, even though we know that they can AKC register dogs. It's because the father is unknown, and there is a reason and an opinion as to why that would happen. But I think that you do not want to miss that show. He always brings so much information. His dad, Scott Carpenter, I believe, was a legend in the field. I believe his dad was on the right track long before anybody else was. And I think that we are blessed to have known him and to have his legacy left behind, and his son that has just the same amount of knowledge to be able to share it and to put it out there. I look very forward to having him on the show. We're going to be working to have Justin Decker come on the show. We'll see when we can get everything arranged with him. We have a lot of guests lined up. Mm-hmm. For anybody asking, our store has picked up. A lot of people have been buying the hoodies, and that's a question that I'm going to shoot to Jesse. Vicky asked me, Jesse, I think I might have tagged you in it. Everybody wants to know what kind of hoodie is the best one, and what is your opinion on how they're made, the material, and are they worth it?
Well, I got the hoodie that I got was the black one with the embroidered normal investigations on it. And it was actually embroidered. I was shocked. I didn't realize it was embroidered. It was nice. They're nice. Yeah, they're thick. They're warm. I really like it. I love it. Yeah. I think it's awesome. It's definitely worth the money.
Yeah, we go all out over here at AI. We don't skimp on nothing. You're getting the top-notch stuff if you get it from here. No doubt.
Yeah. Yep. No. Seriously. I really like it. I've gotten, let's just put it this way. I've gotten hoodies from other YouTube channels that were just like the typical basic, hoodie type fabric. But no, the quality is really, it's excellent. It really is.
Well, you're not getting basic stuff from AI over here. I guarantee you. You're getting top notch if it comes from over here. That's all we deliver. From the time we hit that button, go live, until we end that stream, guys, you're getting top quality.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tim, for that donation.
You notice Randy kind of abstained from that statement?
Yeah.
But yeah, Justin Decker, we will be working to have him on the show. And I think we'll probably be visiting him on the show. And for everybody out there, we now have Spotify So if you're on the go and you don't have time to sit and get to watch us blink at each other and you want to hear just the conversation, you can go over there and listen to us while you're on the go in your car or wherever. We have a lot of our uploads already out there. I just uploaded the Jesus Piem. And if you're looking for the link to our Spotify, you can get it off of our Facebook page. And I don't know if Randy is able to put that out there yet or not. I don't know.
I don't have a link for that.
Okay. We'll have to get Randy a link for that so he can start sharing out our Spotify. Spotify's doing really good, by the way. It's growing really fast, and we're getting a lot of streams. And I do know that none of them are Jesse's. I've talked to her. She doesn't listen to a lot of them. But there is a lot of people listening. So we are happy for that. It does help the channel a lot that people do listen to that.
Correction. I do actually go back and listen to them, especially like the interviews with Travis Carpenter, because I like to actually review them before we actually have them back on the show. So I will say, anybody that is not used to listening to Spotify, it's really nice because you can actually listen to it on your computer while you're working and actually hide it behind the screens and listen while you're actually working, and no one will even know the difference. So, little tip.
And
for those of us that do work.
And another very, 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 very important thing for this channel. If you guys are listening to this after it's aired, smash the like button, give us a comment, and share it out to your friends because it matters. Because we're coming on here, guys, twice a week this week, giving top quality information. So in order for us to do that, we need your help. I mean, out here on the farm, guys, I can grow the corn and stuff, but the one thing I can't grow is this channel without your help. That was pretty good, wasn't it? See, came up with that all by myself.
Nice.
So keep your corn buttered and keep that button poked. We're going to keep this channel growing.
I like that. You should carry that over to the other channel too.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of my shirts. Keep your corn buttered. I think I got the perfect picture for it too. But yeah, if y'all haven't joined our abnormal investigation channel or abnormal, yeah, that one too. If you ain't joined it, go ahead and subscribe. But if you haven't joined our Wide Open Adventures channel, guys, we'd like to invite you to come over there. We're going to have some really cool stuff. I'm getting ready to make another recipe, and I'm not quite sure how it's going to go, but I'm hoping it turns out good. But I've almost puked on a few on here. Not gonna lie, some of them's been pretty bad. I threw some out to the dog. He sniffed it and ran off. And some of it's been pretty good. But I'm gonna make, and I don't know how y'all say this, so I'll say it both ways. An Italian or Italian dish. I am also Italian myself, and it looked really good to me, so I'm going to be making that. Has anybody seen Scott Nixon in the chat tonight? Is Scott Nixon with us tonight?
He was earlier. I don't know if he is now.
Scott Nixon, if you are in the chat, your barbecue sauce was approved and shipped today. They said that I was not sending nothing toxic, so it was good to send to you. The United States Postal Service now trusts me. I have their stamp of approval. Only at AI could you get that fast. See, top quality, guys. Even the box we ship it in, top notch. It is the best of the best. And we don't kill trees either to make our boxes. We use hemp plants because 5 acres of hemp plants can make more paper than trees. So just remember that. Make Bigfoot happy, save the woods. So is there anything else that y'all would like to add, Jesse? Would you like to add something before we... Well, my main courier right there, my mother that works in the shipping department, just said he should have that Monday. So if she said it, it'll be there Monday bright and early. Guaranteed. Stamp of approval AI on that. So, Jesse, would you like to walk us out of this one if you don't mind, ma'am? And then we'll give it over to Mr. Randy Petticourt.
I'd like to say thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. I hope you got something from the show and were able to learn something or found it somewhat interesting. I wouldn't want to say entertaining, but or entertaining. I don't know. Depends. But thank you again for everybody joining us. We wouldn't be here if you weren't here. So bless you all and have a good night. Randy, take it away.
Good evening, everyone. We'd like to thank each and every one of you for tuning in tonight and helping supporting the Admiral Investigation Channel. Just remember the Admiral Investigation Channel shining a light into the darkness, revealing the truth about the real world we live in. Good night and God bless.
Randy, you're 100% right, buddy, because what we say is 100% here. Now, guys, I appreciate y'all coming in here, supporting us, spending time with us. We appreciate that. I hope that y'all are enjoying these investigative lives we're doing, looking into these cases. I enjoy them. They do take a lot more time to produce and research, but as long as I'm able to do it and everything, because I'm probably fixing to get really busy in February, like really, really busy. And yes, I'm stopping there. We will see how long I can continue to do this. We do have some plans for some boots on the ground coming up. So I do want to get out and get some boots on the ground. I do have that planned out. As long as, they don't try to hang me from a bridge like a troll or something. One of the boots on the ground, guys, that I have coming out that I'm really working on is I want to take you all to that back bridge that I've been going to, but I do have stipulations on that. If I show up and there's troll stuff there or somebody, I may go ahead and stay if that's there. But if there's a letter that's threatening me, we're just going to have to cut the show and eat it, guys. That really hurts me when I have to cut a show like that. It kills my algorithm, really knocks me down. But if there's a letter there threatening me, I'm not going to stay. I've discussed it with the team. But we're looking really, really excited to be able to go there. Hopefully they won't leave anything like that, because I want to show you all something down there. And I would like to be able to stay there and maybe visit with you guys and see what we can hear, because that water down there and just the area has so many memories. So I do want to do that. I also want to say, Hunter, I love you so very much. You're my best friend, my best buddy. I'm going to keep fighting for you. You know that. I'm sorry you're in the situation you're in. Don't believe anything you hear, buddy. The only thing you need to know is your dad loves you more than anything in the world, and I fight for you each and every day. And we will have our day. It's coming. We will be back together, buddy. I know it's took a long time. It ain't fair. It hasn't been fair to me. It hasn't been fair to you. But someday you're going to see the truth, because there's so much truth out there. And we'll leave it at that, because I will get mad, and because there's so many lies that hit us each and every day. And I do want to say something, and I'm going to say it right now. Not only have I been attacked, but my co-hosts and my moderators have been attacked. One of my co-hosts was attacked to the point to where his grandchildren were attacked, to the point to where he's had to step away for a while to take care of some legal matters. That's how bad it is, guys. It's sad. But as always, fill the chat with purple hearts for Hunter. Let him know we love him and we miss him. And also, Logan loves green hearts. So if you'd like to throw some green hearts in there for Logan, he would love that a lot too. Guys, I want to thank each and every one of you for showing up. And remember, if you see a werewolf dancing for a treat, you probably don't want to go check your mail. And as always, keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. And we'll see you on the next one. And don't forget, comment and like after the show. That helps a lot. Share us out, because we give quality information 2 times a week. We'll see y'all later. Be careful.
Good night.
Good night.